I'm Scott.
I'm Russell.
And I'm Leo. This is Spitball. Welcome to Spitball, the Pigeon Kitchen, where three musketeers, that's us, empty our heads of all of our startup and tech product ideas that we have stuck up in there so you can all have them for free. Anything that we say is yours to keep.
All right, guys, I want to introduce you to our special guest this week, Anthony. Anthony is a certified psychiatrist, and hopefully he can help us critique our ideas and the mental disorders it took to come up with them.
Welcome to Spitball.
A couple of the things that you said were true.
This is going to be a lot of fun. We're glad you're here.
Welcome.
All right, guys. So Russell is on a little bit of an advantage here because he, like me, is a father. But today we're going to be playing Tech or Tots. So in this one, we're going to go rapid fire style. And the three of you are going to be guessing whether or not each name that I'm throwing at you is a baby product or a baby company or a tech product or a startup out in Silicon Valley. All right. Starting with our special guest, Anthony. Hadoop. Hadoop. Is that a baby product or a tech startup?
Tech startup, for sure.
It is. It's an Apache product for distributing data across large data sets. Scott, Doona, Doona.
I'm also going to go tech startup, and I hope it is something
They
with donuts.
make car seats and strollers. Sorry to say. You're down 0-1. Russell, Kibana, Kibana.
Oh, that's a baby. That's a baby one.
They make data visualization software for tech companies. Sorry.
What? Like Cabana?
Anthony, you're in the lead with a strong first round. Anthony, you're up. Zutano, Zutano.
I gotta go with startup again.
They make baby booties. Sorry. Scott, Mosey, Mozy.
This better be a baby product.
They are an online data backup
Oh my
service.
God.
Sorry. Russell. Cybex, Cybex.
Yo, is that allowed on this show? It sounds like an adult.
We're rated T for T now, just for saying it.
Yeah, that's an adult service site.
Sorry to say they make car seats and strollers, so they are very G-rated.
I like three of these guys doing car seats.
I found quite a few of them. Yeah. Anthony is still one. The other guys are nothing. We've got two more rounds here. Anthony, Tinker Pop. Tinker, capital POP.
I gotta say that one is for kids.
That's an Apache language and product for graph traversal and databases and large data sets.
They also make car seats, though.
Scott, Splunk. Splunk.
Tech startup, please.
Yes, infrastructure, security, and observability. They make like insights into your product.
How does that name
Russell.
have anything? Okay.
Splunk. Well, you're splunking through your logs, I guess, and your
Sure.
infrastructure. Yeah.
Spelunky.
Russell, we got Grafana. Grafana.
100% tech startup.
You are absolutely right. That's an open source dashboard product. That means it's 1-1, and it's our final round. Very exciting. Anthony, Joovy, Joovy.
Huh. I hope
Prison.
that's a tech startup.
And they make baby strollers.
The only thing your kid needs to be able to do is move.
That's right.
As long as they're strapped into something.
Where's my drink?
Scott, Jupyter, Jupyter.
Absolutely a kid product.
That is a Python notebook
Oh my
hosted
God.
service. You can write your math online and it'll host it. And then Russell, the last one, Caddy, Caddy.
That's a baby stroller.
That's
startup.
a web server made in Go.
Did we get any of
I've
them?
used Caddy before. You all got one each. Congratulations. That seems poetic. What a great three-way tie.
Do people call juvenile detention centers juvie in your neck of the woods? Because
Not
it would be
Jovy.
insane
That's definitely
to
like
name any kid's product.
that's an
that.
early 2000s Flickr alternative or something, I think. I don't know. And baby
Going to
stroller,
Well,
maybe.
you know what?
Of course.
Maybe since they do make a product that you strap your child into, so maybe it makes a little more sense than I thought.
It's early juvie.
Restraints
We're
for
sentencing
your
you to juvie.
early delinquent.
Pre-juvie. Kinder juvie.
That's right.
Juvie.
It's pre-juvie.
Oh, that's
I
a
believe
data
that
backup
means-
language.
If I'm keeping track, I think Russell, you're up first this week. What do you got for us?
So this idea needs a little bit of setup because does not sound great on paper.
How about a podcast?
As opposed to our usual pitches, huh?
Yeah, but this one definitely saves lives. So good luck trying to beat that, boys. This okay. This is a simple startup. We take the power of the sun and throw salt via stop signs in front of the most critical part of where ice gets in the way, or where ice causes damage. So,
Okay.
okay. So let me set that up a little bit better. Basically, it's a machine that throws salt in front of the stop signs and street light places where you need to stop
Whoa.
all the time, 24/7, or maybe less whenever it rains. I mean, whenever it snows.
Don't walk
It's
over
just
that.
spitting salt forever.
It's stopping anywhere else is overrated.
Yeah, you have fries. You want to get some salt. You just go to your stop sign and you. So why that is because I see a lot of, and I know this episode's gonna be released during the winter time, I'm sure. But what is it? Whenever those trucks that move
Salt
the
trucks.
trucks, the
A salt
Salt
truck.
trucks.
truck. Yeah.
I feel like they add a little extra salt at the stop signs, or they're just stopping at the stop signs because. But it's also like
I've never thought of that. I thought for sure that was on purpose. You're probably right. They're just going and they sit at a stop sign. Shoot.
But I mean, right? They
Huh.
should stop a little extra there because, when you're sliding, at least you catch your edge right at the stop sign. Why not install to right away? Every stop sign has you put a bag of salt, a little throwing machine, and a solar panel, and now every stop sign and/or street light becomes instant snow network. Save lives. That's it. That's the
That's
That's
great.
the company. Salt saves lives.
All right. Are you so you're powering these with solar? I don't want to, no but you, but the days where it's snowing.
That's a good question.
Are those the days where you wouldn't have?
It's almost
Well,
like you live in the
you
Midwest.
can use
sun,
salt
where it's
and water.
always cloudy in the winter and terrible.
Can't you make a battery out of salt and water? Isn't that a thing?
Throw a potato in there and you got
Boom.
it.
Checkmate. Next. Potatoes. Potato powered. That's it.
Maybe you could put some of your gamer vitamins in it for electrolytes.
It's what the plants need.
Oh. Full circle.
That's what plants crave. So tell me about how you plan on not throwing salt in the eyes of children who are walking through the intersection.
You see, that's where I need your help here. All right, we got to figure out how to pitch.
Yeah.
Maybe you create but then there's also the problem of if there are cars in the intersection, when do you throw the salt? I feel like you could do some detection or some motion. You get one of those motion things.
We could figure that one out. A millimeter wave thing on it or something that detects if there's no one
You can
in
buy
here.
a $20 home motion sensor on a thing. You just wait, no motion for 5 minutes, and then you just chuck a bunch of salt.
And then just explode into salt. Got it.
Yep. Solved.
So is this like a device that you attach onto a stop sign? Like it clips on and just point it towards the road and it just starts spewing?
Yeah, and also there's a bag of salt, I think, attached to it, like a hopper, right? And you just boom.
Okay. So we need a system to refill these. So, okay, Uber for stop signs. You can hire people to go over and refill bags of salt on your local stop sign or intersection.
Yeah, and I wonder how much salt you need in a year to cover a stop sign little square footage, right? Is it just 50 pounds? I don't know.
It could be the stop sign itself, really, really thick. You only need to see it from one side, right?
Whoa.
So just make it as deep as it is wide. It's a big old hopper, battery and thrower
What, you're saying
arm
replace the stop sign itself and just
with a stop sign shaped
salt
basket
throwing
box thing. Yeah,
Wow,
I like that.
it's a hexagon but deep.
This is the multi-billion-dollar company.
Octagon? Are they octagons? Oh, that's embarrassing. I think they're octagons.
Smart stop sign. Wait, no, they're... Oh, shit.
Guys, this is our entry into the marketplace. We start by selling salt throwing stop signs, and then we become the number one distributor of all things signs.
Smart signs.
I thought you were going to say all things salt.
We'd have salty signs. That'll be our. There
The
it is.
salt market can't be that saturated, right?
I can't think of a more niche.
It's all a bunch of
market.
like Department of Transportation, government, like state government people, right? There's probably some room for
All right,
disruption.
so that's the
there.
marketing
Well,
strategy.
like you said, you need someone to replace the salt in these things, right? So if we're selling the device, we might as well be selling the replacement, right? Less work on the end of our customer.
I like
Yeah.
Scott's distributed Uber idea, where like you just hire you encourage people in the local community to go to their own Ace Hardware, buy a bag, put it in their local on the end of their street, and charge them like $5 more than whatever it cost them.
Yeah.
Honestly,
People can make a little
yeah,
extra cash.
people would do that.
The problem is not going to be hard to tell what they're putting in it. They could just be dumping in gravel or like taking a shit inside the thing, and no one would know.
Yeah, that's true. If people are willing to go around and charge bird and lime scooters
Yeah.
for pennies,
Mhm.
right?
They'd put salt in.
Yeah.
As I'm sure Russell is completely unaware, stop signs are a natural target for juvenile delinquents.
It's that juvie startup, isn't it? That damn juvie startup. Well, that is true. So we got to make a smart sign that's all. It also like shoots salt at kids.
Yes. It's self-defense.
Self-defense.
Turn a bug into a feature.
Yeah.
That's it.
If it gets spray painted.
Child repellent stop signs.
Yeah. Have you seen those guns that you can spray like bugs, flies with? a
Oh,
little
the
bit of
Schultz
salt?
shotguns.
Yeah.
Yes.
Excuse me. You want to run that again? The Schultz shotguns. Yeah. You just have that built in,
Yeah.
right? I think that uses table salt. There's probably some. I don't think you can just chuck the like coarse pebbles at kids.
I mean, yeah, you'd have to grind it up a little bit before you throw it at the children.
a little bit.
But I think you could hire the same.
Table salt only.
You gotta. It's just the ethical thing to do.
So you take the people that like change the garbage cans throughout the winter time throughout the city. I think you just get those same people to fill those salt bags. You already have the workforce.
Oh, I've got it.
I'm ready.
You know, the mid-air refueling of a jet. You've got that sort of thing dangling off the back, but it's
From
the salt
trucks.
Yes, they go around when they're sitting in the stop sign. They have a little hopper, and they just sort of pour off the side into the hopper for a minute, and boom. Now that's set for another week.
Because the place we need more congestion is at the stop.
That's true.
You know how many Apache helicopters sit around all day not filling up bags of salt? Like,
So true.
It's a waste of taxpayer money, honestly.
yeah, you take the same helicopters that drop a bunch of water at like flaming forests. Yeah,
And give them a purpose.
just fill salt bags.
I've always said, what are all those helicopters even doing? Yeah. Okay, so what if instead of like a conveyor belt system that you got to sit at the stop sign and wait for, if it had like a claw bucket thing, but you've got that filled with salt, and as it drives by, it just releases and then retracts, and it's just a quick moment, right? They've got a hopper up top.
Right. And you only need to do this like once every couple hours? Whatever the salt to snow ratio is, you can't have somebody occupying a stop sign all day. Or a bunch of cars. Maybe. I'm no civic engineer.
You've never driven through Florida, have you?
That's true.
Well, thank you for your contribution to public safety.
All right, Leo, let's hear what you got this week.
All right, so back, I don't even know how many years ago, early days of Reddit, like late 2000s, early 2010s, there was a wonderful little niche website. And it was a bunch of not nefarious, what's the word I'm looking for? Mischievous server admins who had built a phone line in their company's phone tree system where they could transfer callers to this number. And that phone extension was a robot, and it would pick up and it would play a recording. And it was a recording of an old man saying, "Hello, this is Lenny." And they had recorded a bunch of sound clips of this guy, this old man, just answering with non-answers, like, say some more about that. I think I've heard about that. Or, someone called last week. Could you tell me more about that? I think that might have been you, right? And it was just these keep them talking clips. And all that the robot did was wait for silence on the line and play a random clip. So after it said, "Hello, this is Lenny," they just waited for the person to stop talking, and then they would prompt them to continue talking. And it was to transfer scam calls or annoying spam that you didn't want to deal with. So someone would call them and say, "Hi, I'd like to sell you my white paper." And the company would say, "Oh, yeah, you want to talk to Lenny." And then they would transfer it to Lenny and they would record the call. And the subreddit was just filled with these angry telemarketers and scammers and stuff getting increasingly frustrated as they talked to Lenny. I've always admired this idea. It went away a few years ago. I don't think it's around anymore, but the idea has died.
I think Comcast bought them, if you've ever called them.
And now that's how they run their customer service, I think, yeah.
Yep.
I just don't want to see it die, and I think it deserves to be revived in a consumer product. So I would pay to have an app on my phone or to have a hardware appliance that I could plug into a phone line at my office that does essentially this. I think with the era of social media and algorithmic feeds and stuff becoming, this is ripe for TikTok content. This is ripe for automatically posting to YouTube in a way that it was sort of like kludgy. You'd have to go to their old website before and like stream MP3s, and it was a little bit clunky. I think you could totally turn this into like a commoditized business. You could have large language models generating the scripts based off of the keywords that they're saying. You could have really convincing text to speech done on the fly, so it didn't have to be pre-recorded. There's all kinds of stuff that has improved in the last 10 years that could really make this next level.
What an incredible way to combat spam calls,
Right?
too. Like you're saying, you have an app on your phone that you just, whenever you're in a phone call, there's just always a button that you can transfer to Lenny, or it'll just answer as Lenny to start. And then if they can get past Lenny, you can answer. Well, that's probably a bad one, actually.
This is amazing. I think this is like the most I can't wait for a spam call kind of thing where you're excited to get a spam call so I can transfer them.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait. So
you could even gamify it and have like the app have leaderboards with how long you kept someone on the line or how many calls you got this week, right?
Dude, this is a free service too, because you just generate content. Like if you're providing the call screening or whatever, you just generate all that content, make so much money off of like spam callers, and you get like 5 or 6 voice models, so people, when it becomes popular, because it's definitely 100% amazing, you have to change the voices, right? So it's like totally doable. I'll do you one better too. Instead of doing an app thing, okay, you get a phone number, you just put the contact in your phone, and you just tell the telemarketer, hey, give me 1 second, I get my boss or somebody else on the line. You call the other number, merge the calls, leave, boom.
Sure.
That's it. You just do the merge call, and you can listen in while it's happening or just let it ride.
Oh, just go about your day.
Yeah.
Well, I like the idea of shortening the process somehow. I like just being able to click a button and use an app or something, because the thing that you're providing to people with this is joy, right? Schadenfreude of someone else's suffering. It doesn't mean you're getting less spam calls. I would not use this if I had to pick up and say, let me transfer you to Lenny every single time. I would absolutely click a button knowing that the person on the other end is going to experience some amount of suffering.
Honestly, though, that's the best way you're supposed to deal with spam calls. Like outside of just not answering, you can just waste their time. The more time you waste to them, the better it is for everyone.
You're a hero. Every time you use the app,
you're a hero.
You were.
So that's how we would phrase the leaderboard, right? This is how much time you saved someone else of having to talk to a telemarketer.
100%.
I love the idea of a leaderboard, by the way.
It's like the Kit Boga effect, but you're making a million Kit Boga, the streamer who keeps and wastes spam callers and scammers' time. Yeah. You're making hundreds of them, an army of them. Yeah.
Amazing content.
If we launched this during the what was it, like Waste His Time 2020 or whatever?
What's that?
I don't know that one.
It's just about girls wasting annoying guys' time. It doesn't matter.
Oh, it's like
are you in the middle of this,
trend.
Anthony? Are you like in the middle of being hashtagged like right now?
No comment.
That was a big swig there, Anthony.
So you're worried about, we could combine this with like the rejection hotline. Do you remember that back in the day? There was a phone number you could memorize and you'd give it out at a bar if you didn't want someone to have your actual number and say, hi, you've reached the rejection hotline. The person you gave you this number, they don't want you to have their number.
Reject
yeah,
you.
exactly. So we have that, but interactive, real-time, large language model powered
with AI.
This is the definition of chaotic good.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You could just put this number on like a bunch of different like you just Google free iPad and you just, if you ever Googled free iPad. So back in my day when I didn't like somebody, I would go and search free iPad and type in, fill out the form for this person. So their email would just be bombarded with spam for the rest of their life. Like it's unavoidable at that point. You just do that.
What
with this
could
phone
someone
number.
have
That's
done to
chaotic
you
evil.
that deserves that unbalanced response?
Honestly, a little bit of mild. It takes
mild annoyance.
a mild annoyance. Yeah, it honestly takes you like 30 seconds to Google it and then type in the email and ruin somebody's email forever.
For the rest
Any
of
truck
their-
that has a "How's my driving?" Russell has entered that number into it.
for a good time call.
That's another idea. We can just do that. Free iPads.
We're already almost to this Lenny idea with Google Assistant's latest thing built into Pixels, where you can have it like answer for you. And it seems like they're right on the. If we could somehow hijack that existing phone interception transcription system to expand it from the few pre-programmed phrases to something this big, man, we're like 95% of the way there, right?
Google knows too. Like every time it'll say 90% chance of spam call incoming. Like we do not recognize this number. We've known this has been spam before. Just anytime, any chance of that comes in, send it to Lenny.
I have someone in my life who is a vulnerable population to be scammed, and they lost a ton of money to scammers about 6 months ago, and it was heartbreaking. And I think this is the perfect chaotic good, like you said, a way to like fight back against the industry and make it not worth their time as much anymore,
Especially if you get like that grassroots movement where, just I would contribute my phone to receive calls to that in order to spam other people. And if enough people started doing that, it would just waste enough time that maybe the spam calls aren't worth it anymore.
That's the dream.
That's the dream.
The fun part about Lenny was that it was a really old sounding guy who was clueless, right? So the people on the other end would take their time and like repeat stuff and all that. You could totally leverage that to be like, all of the voices that you have are old and sound like vulnerable, and they're programmed to say, yeah, I could buy gift cards and things like that like really keep them on the line and waste their time. And we can make it a game.
What if you created like this to give to those people with grandparents and say, hey, if you ever get a spam call, not a spam call, they don't know, right? So it's like if ever Microsoft calls you or whatever, send them to my friend Lenny. My friend Lenny, here's his number. You just say, call this guy, and now they're redirecting all those calls too, right? Literally
Press the big red button, Grandma.
Yeah. Like,
I mean, you could even do it without a button press, like Scott was saying. Like Google is like fairly okay at detecting these sorts of things now. If you said to your grandparent or whatever, hey, let me have your phone for a second, I can just download something and you'll never get a spam call again in your life, right? And they didn't have to even interact with it in any way, and that could be their experience.
Like a good grandson.
That sounds awesome. We get a game on entertainment out of it. They get protected. Yeah, sort of like how Google has those advanced protections that you can turn on if you're a celebrity or a journalist or whatever. It'll force you to have MFA and really strict requirements for how to log in and stuff. You can optionally enable, like, I feel more at risk, like people are going to try to do phishing attacks at me more. You do that, but for the vulnerable people in your life, where you say, hey, I'm pretty sure this person's not going to need to talk to random salesmen and stuff. They only really call these 5 numbers. Anyone else who's not in their contacts or anyone else who's a new number to them or whatever, just automatically send it this way. And then they don't understand why they never heard back from the landscaper that they called.
Yeah, it just seems like this needs to we need to have something that stops this spam call thing. At least for the vulnerable population. I think there's enough people out here that like get it. They know when a spam call is coming. I'd never answer a call basically if it's not on my contact list, right? So it's
even if it is.
Well, yeah, I let it go to voicemail, and if they leave a voicemail, everybody's got their own process to like vet a spammer.
If it's really urgent, I'll text them back tomorrow.
Yeah, or like you just send them a text message and it's, oh, this is a landline number. Well, you're full of shit, right? Just goodbye. So
no one has landlines.
Dude, I just think the leaderboards are like there's got to be the best content. Maybe there's a way to get the community to vet and listen to all these calls, because you're gonna have so many calls. Like, How do you vet the content?
Really, I think you're supposed to inform someone if they're being recorded on a phone line, but we can work around
It
that.
depends on the state, actually. Some states
we-
are two-party consent where both have to say they agree to be recorded, and some, I believe, like Michigan, are one party has to consent.
So can we transfer to like a Michigan phone number or like a Nevada one or something?
Oh.
Is there an equivalent of VPNing yourself into another state so it's legal to record it?
That's interesting. I'm
Because
not
you're the one
sure.
who merged the calls, quote unquote.
The
Lenny
data
lives in
centers over
Nevada.
in Detroit. Yeah, right. Huh.
Well, who's doing the recording, right? If it's our company doing the recording, maybe if we're just headquartered somewhere
Yeah.
or whatever, right? It's not the person with the phone who's doing the recording, right? This is an automated app.
Right,
It's-
right. The data center's in Guam. It's fine.
With all this AI power, like Lenny could be your like buffer. If Lenny detects like, wait, this might actually be an important call, I'm going to transfer you to the person.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. yeah. Like,
I mean, that's kind of how the Google one works, right?
It's exactly how it is, except it's just a harder boss you got to get through now. His name is Lenny.
can you imagine meeting somebody and be like, hey, if Lenny picks up my phone, just say operator like 5 times. It'll come to me.
Say this passkey.
Yeah, right. Tango Alpha Bravo. Yeah. Well, big ups to the guys who invented Lenny. We'll put their information in the show notes if you'd like to hear more Lenny calls from back in the day. It was a good time. All right, Scott, what do you got for us this week?
So I was walking my dog the other day and I ran into a guy with a metal detector. And I've always been fascinated by them, but I really don't know anything about metal detecting as a hobby or hardware. And the more I was talking to him, the more I was thinking like, this is a lot of work, him just walking around looking for random things and covering all the ground he covers, he has to physically walk, right? Can we combine a metal detector and a drone? I'm going to take the base part of metal detector. There's a bunch of simple hardware for that. Put enough power into that guy, put it on a drone with a pre-conditioned GPS grid on it, bring it to a beach or a field or something, and just let it go. It goes in a grid pattern throughout the field and then comes back to you with like, I found something potential here, 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 and here. Go take a look. Or maybe it'll circle back on those spots and get a clearer picture on it. The technology's all there for all of these parts. There's so many open source things for autonomous flying drones and pathing. Metal detectors you can get them tiny nowadays after talking to this guy. It would not be hard to get something that a drone could lift and go through.
Whoa.
That is a pitch. It is just literally gluing 2 pieces of hardware together and then some code.
Totally. Does it have to be a flying drone? I mean, why can't it be like an RC car?
I think it's cooler flying.
I like 10 minutes of battery life.
I was gonna say you're gonna Roomba the beach.
Roomba the beach. Yes.
It's like,
Sell this
you
idea
know-
to iRobot. Yeah.
Honestly, though, a ground one is a pretty good idea.
It's already having to drag on the ground, right?
Yeah, it's got to be that's the problem he was saying. Like, it's got to be as close to the ground as possible. So you'd have to have some kind of object detection if you're flying.
Right. You heard him tell you it has to be as close to the ground as possible and thought, yes, let's make it fly.
Let's make it fly. Well, okay. Like, I'm just picturing on beaches mostly. Like, you have essentially level terrain.
dude, yeah, like you attach like 10 and you drag it behind, I don't know, like a pull mower, and it just drags across, and every time it beeps you drop a smoke bomb or something and it just it goes off and you have your fleet of
I kinda
people
like that.
just, all right,
This smoke bomb, it drops a little marker or something.
yeah,
I mean,
the orange posts,
honestly,
you know?
the easy thing would probably just be a tablet, and it just pings like, hey, in this location, here's the Google map of it. It's super zoomed in. And then you come back with a real metal detector, but it's just saving you time from covering all this ground. You could do Minesweeper with this. Oh,
They
crap.
recently found a.
That means the military probably has done this, haven't they?
They recently found a ship in the Great Lakes that was pretty well preserved using a similar technique, right? Where they were kind of scanning broadly, and then once they found a few promising echoes from whatever sonar they were using.
Oh, just boats going back and forth?
I think so, yeah.
Oh.
They knew that it was somewhere in these, whatever square kilometers. They went back and forth until they found a couple of promising leads, and they, did more detail on those spots. Makes sense.
Well, since the time I talked to this guy, I haven't found any benchmarks of this yet, so this would be a lot of fun to try to make.
Would be.
Sell it to hobbyists or the U.S. military, apparently.
You know, there's a ton of people that lose their rings on beaches, right? And you just like people would pay insane amounts of money to find their wedding ring or something. So you just sell this service. You buy 30 and you sweep the beach, man, with this thing.
That's the thing. You only need one, though. It's like Anthony said. It's a Roomba. Like when it's done, it'll go back and recharge and then continue on wherever
Solar
it
powered
left off.
on a beach.
I wonder if you could pitch this as like an environmentalist thing, right? Like maybe the Park Service would pick these up, right, as a way to clean up beaches.
Totally.
Oh, my
Yeah.
gun. I left it on the beach. I can't find my gun.
That's an environmental hazard.
Dude, it's just so funny because it's like metal detecting, that hobby is just like spelunking, man. It's like, oh, I'm searching. It's like a treasure hunt, and you just take all the joy out of it, just rip it out of, and just turn it into a commodity.
Systematic automation.
Yup. It's like, oh, you do metal detecting? You mean those robots that go up and down the beach? You do that by hand? What the hell?
It covers the whole beach in about 8 minutes. No, I used to spend all day doing
Drops
it. And I wouldn't
30
find
markers
anything.
per second, you know? Like,
Well, the beach-going population is really going to love you.
Yeah.
There aren't going to be any rednecks taking pop shots at your thing,
Your low-flying drone.
blasting their family with microwaves.
Skimming your ankles,
Whatever they think.
lacerating feet.
I don't want to be on the implementation team as the guy in charge of writing the Arduino code to light smoke bombs on fire. You can write that code.
strike match.
ChatGPT, write me code to launch smoke bombs from a drone.
Autonomous smoke. We promise they're just smoke bombs. Federal government.
Yeah, the military definitely hasn't any of that technology, right? Dropping bombs out of drones.
We're like 9/10 of the way there to a military robot for sure.
Hey, that's how we go to market. You know, that's how every great business starts. You detect.
As a military robot?
Yeah, you just start. You do something nichey, and then all of a sudden the military's like, we want that for ourselves. Do not sell this.
We have a drone that detects people that drops little capsules of Agent Orange on the beach.
Right.
Got to be careful with how you phrase it, though, because you'll put in a different tax bracket if you say like smoke bomb. It's got to be like smoke extruder or something.
Smoke marker.
Yeah.
Smoke marker. There it is.
Dude, I am curious how much people would pay for how much people do pay for when they lose their ring on a beach or whatever, and they like go up and down. Man,
I love that though. Just like an Uber system or whatnot, you lose it. Oh, I don't know how you would get enough people to know that, like, hey, there's a service that you can find your ex that you lost on a beach, and someone will come out to the beach and find
Oftentimes
it for you.
local metal scouting clubs will just do it for fun, for altruism.
yeah.
Which is sweet.
Well, they're all going to be out of business with our drone now.
What's the target market? Is this like a service that we provide to people who lost things? Because the guys who are, treasure hunting on the beach are all retired dudes who are 60 who have nothing better to do. They like the monotony of it. I can see like there's some inherent joy in piloting a drone.
There's one guy, Scott, who believes that this is like a great hobby as long as he doesn't have to do anything. I hear what you're saying. Most people who want to get into this want to do the thing. Yeah.
But now they can do it just and cover more ground at once by an order of magnitude.
You just have to have them drinking a margarita in the commercial, and people will instantly understand the appeal of not having to do the work themselves.
Well, okay, you ever see like those, like in movies where they make out the rich people to be like, hey, we're going to go take you hunting, and they just put them up in a tower and they're shooting pigs that run by or something? We're doing that exact same thing. We are having a drone go out and marking the spots on the beach where there's 99% chance metal, and then they still go out with their metal detector and they still get to dig the thing up and have all the pleasure of that, but just without the majority of the work. All the fun.
Fish
none
in
of
a
the work.
barrel, right? It's just
Yeah.
Fish in a barrel.
Every sport has their purists that say, oh, the new technology is making it not what it used to be, right? Well, it just drops markers. You have to go do the last step and detect it. Just like you have to go find the deer that you've immobilized with your drone and then shoot it.
Our target market is the guys who shoot sedated lions. In the
yes, exactly. Same person.
Hey, it's okay though because they have the most money.
You're getting ahead of yourself. That's my pitch.
You just said that as an off cuff, but like hunting with drones? Is that going to be a thing in the future? Are we just going to release drones into the woods and they just take down deer and you got to go retrieve them?
That's awful.
I would be.
That's horrifying.
Oh, I was about to
Did
say.
you just say I would do it?
Or else
I think I would actually enjoy hunting if it was like, whoa, I'm like gonna go robot flying.
first person piloting and chasing down. Okay, yeah, that does.
I think the tech community is missing out on hunting until today. The first person
Birds
viewer.
of Prey simulator.
Not a big
Yeah.
overlap, maybe.
Just gotta be careful with the whole human hunting thing, but like outside of that, it's fine.
We made a great tool for predators in the woods.
I was gonna say before we were at 95% military robot. Now you're at 99.8%. Yeah.
With just a little bit of serial killer making up the last 1%.
All right, Anthony. What is an idea that you would love to try but just don't have time for?
Well, that's the thing. So I don't have any ideas, which is why I went to I went to Twitter, and so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a challenge this week, right? Of taking this god awful idea and making it not horrible somehow. All right. Do you mind if I'm not going to mention the guy's name, but do you want me to? Is it okay if I read the tweet verbatim?
Oh yeah.
Please do.
Okay. There is a massive unmet demand in the USA for servants. Mega opportunity for anyone who can figure out new and non-icky forms of domestic service for the American mass affluent. You have people earning $500,000, resentfully doing their own laundry and loading the dishwasher. He goes on to say, this shows the core frustration of mass affluence. You can eat berries flown from Peru, buy new clothes every week, drive a 6,000-pound luxury vehicle, but there is no one to do anything for you. No one else is poor enough to really serve you. Okay. So,
Interesting.
Uber for servants?
so obviously the service industry is bigger than it's ever been, right? You can have someone buy your groceries for you,
Right.
you drive you places, you have chauffeurs, you have people,
Personal assistants.
I mean, maid servants have been a thing for forever, but these guys really want to recapture the experience of like Victorian era royalty or like a Southern plantation owner, right? So like, how do we recapture some of that experience and resell it to the ultra rich in America? I have one idea, but I want to hear what you guys have to say first.
Somebody said like Uber Eats and all that stuff, like you pay, it's like a distributed servitude model, right? I pay for DoorDash. We do daycare, we do like cleaning services. It all costs money and it's all just disjointed, right? So you're kind of saying a servant would do all those things. This is so bad. A servant or whatever you call it, right? Like instead of hiring all these distributed services, you get a bundle with one person and you save money, right? Like, is that...
Who goes and picks up your Taco Bell at 2 a.m.?
Seems like the closest modern incarnation of this is just the personal assistant, right? You have your business or your personal life have the person who manages and coordinates all those different disparate services for you. How is that different?
I feel like you could make this into a full-time thing, though. Like one quote-unquote servant is shared between like 4 or 5 different people, and their full-time gig is just running around doing it's like submitting something to IT. Like you make a ticket or your app automatically makes a ticket. Do my laundry, clean my kitchen.
Remember Cha-Cha? When you were going to text questions in and it was like
Yes.
distributed human answers? You almost want that, but for like,
Pre-internet
well, it's like early internet,
or pre-cell
People were
phone,
texting.
smartphones.
That was the main interface with Cha-Cha. And you could be like, hey, I want to find this product. Can you help find me? Or I want to get an answer to this question and it's kind of hard to Google for. What do you got? And research this for me. And they would charge hourly. Yeah, I love the ticket idea. It's almost like personal assistance as a service. You give them your logins for your Uber Eats and you give them permission to schedule a maid for you and a chimney cleaning and whatever the hell else you need. And then, you reach out to them who does all of it for you.
Is this just...
That's awesome.
But is it miserable enough? Does it really capture that feeling of having power over someone?
Can you sell that as a service?
We're thinking too practically, aren't we?
Is that the selling point? Is that what they were going for in the tweet?
Misery as a service.
Clearly what this guy wants that he feels is missing from... All right, here's my pitch, right? Airbnb Airbnb, but with live-in servants, selling the servant experience in small quantities of time.
Oh, so I don't pay anything and I get to live at some rich person's house. I just have to do their
Well, no, you still book it like a regular. Well, yes, if you're the
servant.
if you're the employee, right? So here's how we make it not icky, right? We, instead of these Airbnb investors taking housing off the market, we are providing housing to other people who act as live-in servants, right? Who then play act this class position for the amusement of the ultra wealthy.
Yes.
Whoa. You know what's funny? I think people would sign up for this. Right? Like,
I can just picture and checking out on your Airbnb, like amenities, fast internet, hot tub, live-in servant. Yes, I'm going to filter by that. But at the same time, I know people they will be terrified of booking an Airbnb if they have to interact with the host because they're so socially scared of talking to another human being.
But how much money do those people have? The ultra wealthy, our target market, has no social qualms at all.
That is an
Do you
excellent
think the
point.
ultra wealthy want to leave their homes and go to another place? I feel like you could do exactly what you just pitched, but it comes to you, like live-in servant for the weekend servant rental. They come, they stay in a sleeping bag in your basement.
That sounds pretty icky.
But I don't know how many people had to go to Applebee's during 2020 in order,
Guys.
If you get to feel that kick, you will go anywhere.
okay, in the super ultra wealthy, like this is like LA, everybody's got multi-million-dollar houses. Like,
Yeah, tell us what it's like, Russell.
well, my brother lives out there, but that's all I know. I mean, listen, like if you think about it, the housing, it's like, all right, if I worked 6 hours a day and you have 4 live-in servants in one house and I get to live in some sick ass mansion with and we just rotate. It's just like me and 3 other dudes doing I don't know what the servant work's going to entail, but I hope it's just like cleaning dishes, like cleaning the pool, washing the windows, whatever. Right. I mean, and I don't know what the cost is. Am I going to have to pay rent or am I just like working for 6 hours a day to pay off rent, which rent in certain areas is pretty pricey, right? You just think about I can live in a sick ass mansion, incredible property for just 6 hours a day. And then you can go work another job or something to get paid. I don't know. It's just, there's maybe not full on servitude, but work for rent in killer spots.
Oh my gosh.
Imagine you worked for freaking a celebrity that you love. I think there are celebrities that would just have servants because they're I would do anything for you. Not that we want that. Not that we want to encourage that crazy. That's where Anthony is here to.
We did say icky in the
That's
title.
pretty icky, right?
Not icky.
Not icky.
We want it to be not icky.
Oh, is
So
that
I
what
mean, just 6 hours a day. I just need you to be available. I need you to pick up groceries or whatever, right?
Is this where the housing market is leading us nowadays? You can't own a house; you just got to be a servant in someone else's.
That is the return to feudalism that I think this Twitter user really wants us to aspire
I mean,
to.
if there's no demand or market for it, then fine. But I think there are people out there that'd be yeah, I'll trade 6 hours of my life to live in.
There must be enough people in this world that have an extra spare bedroom that would be I would have someone live here if I didn't have to see them much, but they cleaned up after me all the time. I think you're onto something.
Right?
Well, let me throw this out there too, because we'll rent a really nice place for us to go out to as a group, right, for a weekend or whatever. What if we replaced, the service fee, the cleaning fee, with this servant fee, right? And these guys just lived in an adjacent property. We wouldn't even have to interact with them that much, but we would just dodge that ridiculous extra fee that Airbnb is so infamous for right now. We just pay the servant fee up front, and we don't have to deal with any of the cleanup ourselves.
Servant fee. It's just.
I love this.
We might need to change some of the wording and branding on this, but I really do love where
While
this
you're
is
there
going.
for the weekend, they can do your taxes.
Submit a ticket.
Dude, it's how far are we from Alexa and Google Home being able to do this? Alexa, clean my dishes. And then 30 minutes later, TaskRabbit sends out a dude or gal to literally clean my dishes and then go home. Are we there? I think we might be there already. Forget the whole live-in servant aspect, right? And just could I just get my
I think you're right though. Like it'll be like on Rover if you have a dog where you kind of you do an initial meet and greet. Like, okay, you're a sane person. I trust you to be in my house and walk my dog and take care of things. Like you do that the meet and greet with your servant, and then you can just forever rely on them for anything. Here's a key to my or access to my house. Here's the tickets going through.
Dude, but you don't even need like a vetting servant process. It could just be, I don't know, when you have a 5-star Uber rating for like 1,000. I mean, like if you have 1,000 people that you've Uber drove for people and you have a 5-star rating, like you kind of just, I mean, you trust anybody to drive you. Like driving is the most dangerous thing you could possibly do. And you're just trusting literally randos in their crappy cars to drive you across town in a city. Like, why can't they wash my dishes or do my laundry? I mean, that seems way less risky. Sure, they're coming into my home, right? Oh no. But like what, like, I don't know. There's just like a little bit of how are we that, what's the trust issue? Let's solve for that, you know? Try it for
This idea is insane, but I'm starting to get more and more convinced by its potential.
There is someone out there who would do this. There are people out there who would not, but there are a lot of people who
doing this already. They just don't want to have the relationship with the one-on-one person. The whole servant aspect is the actual, I mean, sure, if you want to be...
That's the X factor.
That's the X factor. I mean, if you're a jack of all servant trades, I guess you could just go into like, if I do...
Jack of all servant
I mean, like,
trades.
but like lean into it, I guess. Like if I do DoorDash and then I do Uber and then I do TaskRabbit, it's like at some point, like, why not just streamline the whole process, cut out the middleman and just be the one-on-one family person? Like,
it's a cable bundle, but for all of the different services that you do.
The servant word is the problem here, right? If somebody who's listening to the show and is thinking about canceling us, can you make sure that when you cancel us, you just come up with a better word than servant in your tweet or your, I don't know, YouTube rant or whatever? Just like add the one element, like what would be a better word than servant? So plug.
I really like the jack of all trades servant thing. Like I can see maybe we can reclaim that, right? Like I can see someone putting in their Twitter bio top 1% servant on whatever our service is called.
I mean, like, is it TaskRabbit? Like, it sounds terrible, but like, maybe we need to. Maybe this is a whole societal like issue, but like, TaskRabbit's basically like, just like I'll pay $30 for somebody to do this random thing. Like, are we not the ultra wealthy to some extent if we're paying somebody $30 to like mow our lawn and
hang a picture?
Oh, right. It's just who is the ultra wealthy at that point? Like we're just mildly inconvenienced people. Like I think inconvenience is becoming a commodity. Like because if you think about it, like driving anything, it's a commodity. Inconvenience, right? So I mean, if I'm gonna pay an extra $30 to have Buffalo Wild Wings delivered to my home, it's just like, am I really like that strapped for time? And like come on.
You know, I would love to be a part, and even a small part of the hit piece that eventually comes out, right? The reason why our generation can't buy homes is because you're hiring too many goddamn servants.
Millennials are ruining everything.
We might be starting a movement on this podcast. Like, are we all servants? Are we all servants to somebody, right? Like,
wow, so true.
That's the evils of capitalism, and that's really the point that I wanted to get across on your what is this investment show?
Whoa, you know, you're not wrong, psychology man, Anthony. Like,
capitalism is evil. Thank you very much for listening to our Pitches on Business startup show. We hope you enjoyed yourself this evening. And thank you, Anthony, for being with us tonight. This was a lot of fun.
Pleasure to be here. If the guests request me again, I will show up anytime.
Oh, delightful. We will definitely have you back. Our website is spitball.show. Please stop on by. That's where you can find out the latest episodes and follow us on all the different platforms. Email us, please. Feedback, comments, ideas, rants on YouTube that you've made about how the word servant is not okay for this generation to use anymore. All of that can be sent to podcast@spitball.show. And that's also how you can follow us on the Fediverse, such as Mastodon, podcast@spitball.show. Our subreddit is r/spitball show. Our intro outro music is Swingers by Bonkers Beat Club. Please, you are listening to this on a podcast app. Pull over in your car. Take a minute, pull it out of your pocket. Look at that podcast app right now, turn on the screen, and just press subscribe, press rate, press add, whatever it is that it says next to our name. Press that button, please. That helps us. And please rate us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. That's how people can find about the show. New episode is coming out soon. We will see you then.